Join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Welcome to our Monday, April 17th school board meeting. We will start off with our agenda approval, deletions, additions. Dr. Veracco.
Thank you, Mrs. Seuss. We do have one amendment to the agenda, and that is under Roman numeral 7C2, professional leave requests for Dr. Bracy. Also, some revisions under 7D1 and 2 for Mrs. Castaneda. Thank you.
Move to approve the agenda amended.
We have a motion by Dr. Medlin,
I'll second.
second by Mrs. Kelly. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Is there any correspondence this evening?
There is none.
Thank you. Move into our liaison committee updates. Mr. Marshall.
Thank you. Nothing to report this evening.
Thank you. Mrs. Kelly?
I also have nothing to report this evening.
Dr. Medlin?
The Wellness Committee, a number of the teachers are going to be participating in the Hub Run in Crown Point on the 29th, so that's a nice event if anybody's interested. And nothing to report for the redevelopment committee. Thanks.
Thank you. Dr. Malkow?
Right. Lake Central Education Foundation is working very hard to get ready for their 5K, which is going to be held on September 9th. Once again, it'll be held on the grounds of the Lake Central campus. And last year, when it was held on the campus, we had so many compliments about the beautiful campus. So it was a good way for us to expose the lovely facilities we have here. Secondly, they are also working on a project with several other Lakes Education Foundations from the region, and they have decided to donate money to the, refresh my memory, the South Shore Learning Conference, which provides free education for teachers in the summer. So it's a great opportunity for us to give back to others. And I believe that's it. As far as the Dyer Parks, their meeting is tomorrow. So I'll report on that at our next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. And the committees that I am on, I have nothing to report either. So we'll move on to our official school board business topics consent agenda. Dr. Veracco.
Thank you again, Mrs. Seuss. Seek board approval for the minutes from our regular board meeting on April 3rd, as well as approval of the claims, payroll, and extracurricular expenditures that you received in your packets last week.
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Marshall. Second. Second by Dr. Malko. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. And we have no public comments, so we'll move right into our official school board business topics, regular agenda. Dr. Veracco.
Thank you. We're going to kick off the regular meeting with some recognition. I'd like to first introduce Principal Aaron Novak, who will start off talking about some outstanding accomplishments by high school students.
Good evening, Dr. Virago, President Seuss, District Administrators, and Lake Central School Board. I'm here, and I am very happy to recognize, we're going to start with our Business Professionals of America. And I think the easiest way to do this is to call them all down, and then I will read off their individual accomplishments. So bear with me for 1 second. All right, first is Kevin Ahara. Adrian Arujo. Stanley Brack. Ella Budak. Logan Chen. Rose Keelan. Nick Lynn. Lucas Almetti. Annika Palm. Quentin Pivney. And Trevor Pulaski. And we've got one more, Bao Tran. All right, I'd like to read their individual accomplishments because they are outstanding. So Kevin was second in C programming, fourth in administrative support concepts, first in digital communication and design concepts, first in digital marketing concepts, and ninth in management, marketing, and human resources concepts.
Action.
Adrian was second in business law and ethics. Stanley was seventh in Linux operating systems and third in digital marketing concepts. Ella was seventh in fundamentals of web design. Logan was 10th in fundamentals of web design. Tristan Hatfield was 10th in device configuration and troubleshooting, 8th in information and technology concepts. Rose Keelan was 4th in C programming. Nick Lynn was 7th in Java programming. Lucas Almetti was 8th in computer network technology. Annika Palm, 4th in Java programming. Quentin was 1st in SQL database fundamentals, 4th in database applications, 8th in administrative support concepts, and 8th in computer programming concepts. Trevor Pulaski was 1st in the fundamentals of web design. And Bao Tran was 7th in C++ programming and 9th in Python programming. And overall, our LCBPA club won an award for the highest membership percentage increase. So our club has grown exponentially, and it's because of these outstanding young adults who are doing great things. So congratulations, everybody. If our parents of our BPA students could stand up, you guys deserve a round of applause as well. All right, next we're going to recognize our Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. In order to help me do that, I'm going to call down one of the sponsors, Mrs. Jennifer Schmidt. She's one of our Lake Central High School Family and Consumer Science teachers.
Okay, I'm going to start in the same fashion as Mrs. Novak by first calling down our recipients. Sydney Bockert. Kieran Skipper. Jose Cabral. Bella Bayart. Nathina Binu. Jojen Aves. Madeline Kazakavicius. I did my best. Jaylani Perez. Alexis Jones. Ashton Payne. Aya Kanan. Amelia Dominic. Amaya Scott. Autumn Pomeroy. And Marion Wright. I'm also going to just read out what their individual accomplishments were, and I lost my spot, so just give me 1 second here. Sure. Mhm. Here we go. Okay. Okay, and just a little background too. This is, it is brief. We returned from State Leadership Conference boasting some of the most outstanding finishes that we have had. This was only our second year. Sydney Bacher, Kieran Skipper, and Jose Cabral each earned a bronze medal for their projects in Chapter in Review and FCCLA in Action. Okay, so Sydney, go ahead and step forward. Alexis Jones, Ashton Payne, Jaylani Perez, Madeline Kazakavicius, Bella Bayart, Nathina Binu, Jojen Aves, please step forward. They all brought home silver medals in the baking and pastry competition and fashion design projects. Aya Kanan, Amelia Dominic, Amaya Scott, if you want to step forward, Amelia. They brought home gold in career exploration and the Trend Board state projects. And finally, Marion Wright and Autumn Pomeroy brought home gold with a national qualifier status. They are going to be representing Lake Central High School at Nationals this July in Denver, Colorado. Thank you for making our chapter what it is, and congratulations on your accomplishments.
Will the parents of these students please stand to be recognized? Okay, we are going to continue on with our business of the board. Those of you who came to be recognized, if you need to get home for something else, this is a good time to exit stage left or right. All right, my final item this evening is just to give the board an update on some legislative action from last week. Again, to remind the board, the rubber will be hitting the road soon here as the revenue forecast is due on April 19th. So the budget will be in conference committee, and they'll be working out the differences between the governor's version, the House version, and the Senate version. I will say that currently the Senate version of the budget bill is more favorable to public schools. It looks like a 3% in the first year and 4% increase in the second, versus the House version that is 4% in the first year and 1% in the second. It's important to know the Senate version also puts a pretty significant bump into special education and English language learners. It does maintain the virtual amount going per student at 85% of in-person learners. It also includes an increase to the On My Way pre-K pool of money by moving it from 127% of poverty to 150%. And just to remind the board, there is a significant disconnect between how we fund On My Way pre-K and how we determine who is voucher eligible for a private school at over 300% of the poverty level. But now the conference committee will begin their negotiations, and we hopefully will hear something really soon on where we're going to be for the next 2-year period. Also want to update the board quickly on Senate Bill 486, which is the collective bargaining piece. The current language in the bill indicates there is no mandatory discussion and possibly other changes to bargaining as well. The timelines established by the state have historically been problematic for us, so we would look forward to some more local control in terms of how we negotiate and when we bring things to you. It is very important for me to remind everyone, though, that working conditions for all staff at Lake Central will continue to be a high priority for us. So that needs to continue to be said. I know Mrs. Kelly said something about it at our last gathering. But last week's hearing did yield numerous comments from active teachers who are concerned about the elimination of mandatory discussion and also concerned about the other stuff. I want to assure our folks that we intend to keep Lake Central the best place it can be for our staff at all levels. And then the final piece is that, well, I guess I got a couple other things on here. House Bill 1167 mandates, and it's passed, so it's going to go through that all school board meetings will be streamed and archived, not just school board meetings, but cities and towns as well. So we are ahead of the game on one thing. And then finally, Senate Bill 380, and there's an accompanying piece on the House side, the materials harmful to minors. I just want to share with the board that we did meet with our librarians. The punitive part of this language that was going to potentially punish librarians, hold them accountable if something was on the shelf, that part has gone away for now. But it does give us some time to review what we have. And so we've got some work cut out for us to review in more detail than in the past what we actually have available to be checked out. So any questions from the board on any of those pieces?
So, Dr. Bracco, I saw a post just before I came to the meeting about was it the House bill that was passed today that eliminated the mandated discussion, or is that in the Senate bill?
Well, I don't think it was passed
Something-
yet.
Well, then it must be in the House because, well, it was my friend from Lafayette, Randy Stute, who posted it. And he follows the legislative issues very closely, so it must have been passed in the House today, I believe, from what he said. And that brings concern.
Well, this week just started those conference committees, so if it passed out of the House, that means the conference committee ironed out the differences, and then the Senate would be voting in the next couple of days too. So once they both approve it, then we'll see where we are.
Yeah, and I think it's really sad that they would even try to eliminate that, because as we all know, good communication is important when we're to be partners and working towards the same goals. So that's it. Thank you.
Well, the point I've been trying to make, though, Dr. Malco, is that, we're going to continue to talk to our staff about their working conditions and what's going on, whether it's mandated or not. And we've, I think, demonstrated over the last decade that we're doing everything we can to recruit and retain the best staff we can have. So if we veer off that path, I'm sure someone will jerk us back into line, but I don't anticipate it happening.
Good.
Thank you. We'll move right along to our Director of Human Resources Personnel, Mrs. Mucha.
Thank you very much. I am asking that the following personnel items be approved, but bring special attention to Misty, I'm going to say this wrong, Mindy Miedemann, who has been a paraprofessional for 25 years at Lake Central. That's something to be proud of.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve those.
Motion by Mrs. Kelly, and I will second that. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to just take a moment and call up Mr. Enyard. He would like to introduce one of our new hires tonight.
All right, thank you. In your board package, you approved, and it's a great pleasure and excitement that our new varsity head boys basketball coach, Ryan Sexton.
I just want to thank Chris and the administration for giving me the opportunity. Wanted to introduce my wife, Sarah, and my sons, Jace and Miles. They are here today, so they are now Lake Central Indians as well. Very excited about the opportunity. Lake Central's a first-class school district. We play and compete in one of the best conferences in the state of Indiana. After I got done with my playing career, I coached 15 years of college basketball. I was at Calumet College for a long time. Spent the last 2 years at Hanover Central learning the high school game a little bit, and when this opportunity came open, it was something that I had to take. And so I'm forever grateful that you've put your trust into me, and we look forward to winning a lot of DAC championships and hopefully putting a state championship banner somewhere in that gym someday soon.
Like that.
Great. Well, welcome.
I think there's some basketball parents that would like to meet Mr. Sexton now.
Yep. We got a little meet and greet in the gym.
Okay.
Very good.
My next item is for approval for the handbooks for the schools. First, for the elementary school handbook that was provided to you at the last board meeting.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Motion by Mrs. Kelly,
Second.
second by Dr. Medlin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Now the same for the middle school handbook. That will go for all three of the middle schools.
Move to approve the middle school handbooks?
Motion by Dr. Medlin,
Second that.
second by Dr. Malco. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. And the last but not the least is the high school handbook put together by Mrs. Reagan and her staff.
I'd like to propose that we accept the student handbook presented to us tonight from the high school.
Motion by Dr. Malco,
I'll second that.
second by Mrs. Kelly. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And we want to thank the chairman of those committees, including Mrs. Cruz at the elementary school and Mr. Castaneda at the middle school. Thank you.
Thank you. And now on to our Director of Primary Education, Dr. Bracy.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the community for a great response to our kindergarten parent meeting that was held on April 4th. We had an amazing 256 parents attend. The families of the class of 2036 I had to stop and ask myself how old I'll be in 2036. But the families of the class of 2036 were provided with information on all things kindergarten, from enrollment to tips on preparing children for kindergarten. Our team provided families with kindergarten resources, games to play at home, and language development activities. I'd also like to thank our teachers, paraprofessionals, administrators, and all staff members who made our kindergarten screenings a success last Tuesday. There were 346 incoming kindergartners signed up for the kindergarten screenings. The team executed the screenings with excellence, and we appreciate them. Kindergarten enrollment is still open and can be accessed on each school's website or on our district homepage. Also, I am seeking approval for the professional leave request in your packet.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Marshall,
Thank you.
Second.
second by Dr. Medlin. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Dr. Bracy, could you tell us a little bit about this conference, Get Your Teach On? Is it similar to Teach Like a Pirate or a different model, or do you know?
I don't remember Teach Like a Pirate. If you want to know the truth, I don't remember. But I believe, not to put him on the spot, but Mr. DeLauder, didn't you attend one of the teach?
Well, I had several teachers attend it, and it's very, there's a lot of Chris-like activities, but it's very updated. It's ways to keep children engaged in their learning in this day and age. It's an excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next is our Director of Secondary Education, Mrs. Castaneda.
Thank you. For my first item, I am seeking your approval for the professional leave request, the revised copy you received this evening.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Motion by Mrs. Kelly,
Second.
second by Dr. Medlin. Any questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And for my second item, I am seeking your approval for the field trip requests, the revised copy you received this evening.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Marshall, and I will second that. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll move right along to our Director of Facilities, Mr. Ledyard.
Thank you, Mrs. Seuss. Tonight, I have 5 items on the agenda, 3 of them I'll be seeking your approval on. On March 28th, Schmidt Associates, our architect and engineer, as well as Core Construction and Lake Central, opened bids for the Bivich building package and the Bivich mechanical package. We had a great turnout. We had, on the building package, we had 44 bidders bidded on 13 packages. We had 3+ bids in every package, with the exception of site work and steel. And basically around here right now, this excavators are really swamped with a lot of site work and athletic fields going around in Porter and Lake County. And steel, we had some people that were a little leery of our schedule, but we had 2 that were able to meet our schedule. So tonight I'll be seeking your approval on all the bid packages for this building package. They are 1 through 13. I'll just kind of run them off by package. You had all the details in your board packet. The first bid package was bid package number 1 was site demo and earthwork, and seek your approval for Tenco Excavating Inc. at a bid of $534,190. Bid package 2 was site utilities, and Tenco Excavating Inc. also was the low responsible bidder on that package for $359,407. Next was bid package 3, site and building concrete. Kevin Music Construction Inc. was the low responsible bidder for $527,989. Bid package 4 was asphalt paving. Site Services Inc. of $176,307. Plumbing. That goes to Red Kelly Plumbing, Inc. for $568,000. And also we're taking an alternate number 1 there to remove and replace the existing water main of $89,900. Bid package 10 was HVAC, was Circle R Mechanical Inc. for $2,907,000. Bid package 11 was the electrical, for Sweeney Electric Company Inc. for $1,369,700. Bid package 12 was roofing and metal wall panels to Blue Brothers Roofing Company Inc. for $953,951. And last but not least, is bid package 13, the kitchen equipment for Stafford Smith Inc. for $419,041. So I seek your approval to award those contracts as stated for bid package 1 through 13 for the Village Building Package Project.
Do we have a motion?
Move to approve bid packages 1 through 13.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Dr. Medlin and a second by Mrs. Kelly. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I just want to make note that I'm in favor, but on package number 9, I am abstaining from voting on that.
My next item, again, we also took bids on the mechanical package on Village. This package is basically to renovate and install new mechanical systems in the existing Village building right now. This is a separate project, and it's that mechanical package. We also took bids on that day, Schmidt, Core, and LC. We only had 3 bid packages for that. They were basically, obviously mechanical systems, the electrical associated with that, and then we'll have some ceilings and paint to do in the existing classrooms when we're finished with all that. So I'll be seeking your approval on the 3 items that were in your bid package. They are bid package 7A, drywall metal studs installation, ceilings and paint to Kleckner Interior Systems for $369,770. Bid package 10A, HVAC Systems, Circle R Mechanical Inc. for $2,684,000. Bid package 11A, electrical for Sweeney Electric Company Inc. for $367,300. And again, we had a great participation on this project as well. We had 13 bidders for this. We had at least 3 for every package, and we had 7 for the HVAC package. So I seek your approval on mechanical project for the existing Village for bid packages 7A, 10A, and 11A.
President Seuss, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation of Mr. Ledger.
I have a
Or-
motion by, sorry.
But, yeah, bid package 7A, 10A, 11A.
I have a motion by Dr. Malco, and I will second that. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. My next item is to award next week's contracts for the LCHS Freshman Center HVAC renovation project. This includes the base bid, the alternates, 1B as in boy, 2C, 3C, 3E, and 5. On March 30th, Schmidt Associates and Lake Central took bids on this HVAC renovation project. This is basically to do the new HVAC system for the freshman center. It's over 30 years old. It's in desperate need, and so we are using the ESSER money for this. And so the bids, we are the base bid. We only had 1 bidder. We had 2, but he pulled out at the 11th hour, literally when we were at the bid table. They pulled out because of some, they couldn't connect to some electrical people to support. So the low responsible bidder is Arctic Engineering Company, $2,852,500. Alternate 1 was the controls for the system. We had 2 bidders. The low bidder is Automatic Logic for $798,000. The other bid was $800,000. So on that kind of a large contract, there was literally $2,000 difference between the 2. Alternate number 2 is the equipment for the projects. That's the air handlers and all the RTUs. We solicited 3 bids for those. 1 did not bid. We had Train, Carrier who did not bid, and then York. York was the low responsible bidder for $1,120,000. LED lighting in the classroom and hallway areas of the freshman center while we're there. Instead of replacing them with the existing lights, we're going to upgrade the LED lights. We'll work through with our optimization committee to get an incentive from NIPSCO on that, and talking to Schmidt as well as Rob and I, Dr. Barack talked. We thought we'd get a better bang for our buck doing it while we're here now, and with the incentive, it'd be a pretty good payback. And in fact, I've got another NIPSCO incentive on my board agenda. I've been bringing those to you as we've been doing this. So that is alternate number 5, and that was an add of $268,700. So with all that, I do seek your approval for the freshman center for base bid, alternate 1B, 2C, 3E, and 5.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Marshall,
Second.
second by Dr. Malko. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. My next item is an update on the project we've been working on for the high school varsity baseball and softball fields lighting. We have revised all the drawings. I had to have my submittal packaging from Town of St. John by today. I submitted it Friday morning, so they have the entire submittal package. It was quite lengthy. I've asked that Dr. Rocco and I will be able to attend the May 17th St. John Plan Commission study session, and that will be the first time we'll be in front of the town. Dr. Rocco and I will kind of give an overview of the project to them, and we'll get some feedback, and then we hope to appear at their Plan Commission meeting on June 3rd to seek final approval for that. Just by talking to my electricians and the Musco lighting people who are supplying the lights. Our goal would be to get approval in June, and hopefully we can get the infrastructure done, even the foundations done this summer, and we would then erect the lights sometime in the fall. There's some long lead times on them. I will tell you, I talked to my electrician about this morning. As far as the supply chain issues, believe it or not, we're going to have to have two 200-amp panels to support each system, one at the baseball field, one at the softball field. And in layman's terms, these are normal in larger homes. That's what you have, is a 200-amp service. But right now, what we call the guts, the interior breakers and all the switchboards and the interiors are anywhere from 24 to 26 weeks out. So it's just that type of thing with the electronics. So, but the goal is still to get everything done. We need to set the tubs, run out, pull all the wire, have everything ready to erect when we get the lights and the poles, and hopefully be done in the fall, provided we get approval, and we do, and they'd be ready to go for softball and baseball season of 2024. Any questions on that?
No, I think that's a great project, and I'm so glad that you're moving so quickly through it. Wanted to confirm, did you say the second meeting date was June 3rd or June 7th?
June, I think it's June 3rd.
Well, the 3rd is a Saturday.
Okay, then it is June 7th.
Okay, because that's in your rent, okay. Yeah, and I know that it'll be very much appreciated, just like one day, 2 weeks ago, they had to cancel a game because it became too dark. So then they can't go ahead and play the game, and it ends up going on the record as a tie versus a possible win. So I know they're very excited about it. So thank you for that, Mr. Ledyard.
You're welcome. My last item, as I indicated earlier on with the LED lights alternate for the freshman center, is I in the report back, we found a NIPSCO incentive check for $2,761.90. This was an incentive, a rebate for, we had an alternate there as well for the Grimmer HVAC renovation project to change out the lights in the kitchen, in the kitchen receiving area at Grimmer. All those lights are in, and we received a payback on that, and again, we'll save a lot of money on energy with that as well, so we'll copy the check in there. Very good, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. And last but not least, our Director of Business Services, Mr. James.
Thank you. My first item is to seek your approval for the professional leave request in your board packet.
Move to approve the professional leave requests.
Motion by Dr. Medlin. I will second that. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. For the last few years, we have been part of the Food to School Purchasing Cooperative, which is a co-op made up of many school districts throughout the state, and then that co-op does the bidding for food service for the school year. The bids that were received last year had provisions in it that those contracts could be extended an additional year. And so the cooperative is going to take those provisions and proceed with them. And so, but each individual school district needs to approve that at their own district level. So I seek your approval to retain the grocery contract with HPS, the milk contract with Pleasant View, and the bread contract with Alpha Bakery for the 23-24 school year.
Based on the recommendation of Mr. James, I'd like to move that we I'd like to make a motion that we accept his recommendation.
Motion by Dr. Malko,
I'll second that.
second by Mrs. Kelly. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next is seek your approval for the donations that were included in your board packet.
Motion to approve those donations?
Motion by Mrs. Kelly,
Second.
second by Dr. Malko. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Last item is just to seek your, not seek your approval, is to give the board, an update. It's our quarterly financial report. You'll have two legal-sized sheets in front of you that I'm going to briefly go over. The first page, if you look at the top left-hand corner, indicates that this is for our education fund. This is where our state support comes to and pays for most of the salaries and benefits of our teachers and aides and guidance counselors and all items directly related to classroom instruction. We are 3/4 of the way through the fiscal year. This report covers July through June. We have 3 months left. Our state support, again, is rather steady each month, about $5.4 million a month. On the lower half of the spreadsheet, you see our monthly expenditures, again, mainly for salaries and benefits. Toward the bottom, you'll see how much we transfer from our education fund to operations fund to support that. We currently transfer approximately 8% of our revenue into the operations fund. The state recommends transferring less than 15%, so we're nowhere close to that. We're always trying to keep as much money in our education fund as possible. So if you, just like most people like to do, you jump to the bottom right-hand corner and see how we're operating for the year. And right now, we're projected to be about $1.2 million to the good. Now, however, before you get too all excited here, this is just the education fund. It's a pretty steady stream of revenue and expenditures. Where we see the most cost fluctuations is in our operations fund with higher utility costs, higher insurance costs, and all the inflationary things that we've seen. So I can tell you that unfortunately, our operations fund is about 1.3 million in the opposite, and they're netting each other out. Now, we knew this was happening, which was why we have had the steady stream of expenditures in this fund to offset what we're doing in operations. But we had a very busy summer of projects last year in our ops fund. Knowing this, when we presented the budget to the board last August, we knew that this upcoming summer, we were going to tailor back some of our building projects and needs more for just things that are more safety related instead of cosmetic things. So we've modified some of our staffing at the custodial level. So we're getting that operations fund on track. So before I move to the second page, any questions on the ed fund? Okay, so then the second page is where I take all of our operating funds, meaning the education fund, the operations fund, the referendum operating fund, and our rainy day fund, because really it's those four funds that now work together, intertwined throughout the entire school year, because as you've seen, money flows back and forth between the two. And similarly, if you go to the bottom right-hand corner to see how we're operating for this year, With 3 months left, we're projected to, our expenditures to exceed our revenue by about $384,000. On a $95.5 million budget, we're pretty close. And we want to always be as close to the margin as possible because we're not here to hoard cash. We're trying to put things right back into the program. So we'll see how the next 3 months go. Who knows, maybe we'll end up being closer to the margin, but that is the more realistic of how we're operating as a school district. Again, you can see we have a healthy cash balance when you add those funds together. So we're operating fine now, but now we're starting to get into the season of thinking of how next year is going to play out, next year's budget, next year's fiscal budget. And there's multiple factors that go into that. Excuse me. Number one being what's going to happen in the General Assembly over the next 10 days, what that funding formula is going to look like, but also most importantly, what's our ADM figure going to look like for the fall, because we can get 4% new money, but if we're down 200 kids, well, we may actually have less revenue. So it's a volatile time, but we watch it closely and we make sure that we're operating okay moving into the next school year. So does anyone else have any questions on that?
No.
Okay.
I have no questions, but I'm so glad you are doing that work and not me.
Well, we all have our roles.
I will have to
so.
second that.
I will third.
All righty, well, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, we'll move right along to our public comments, and our first speaker is Matt Berry.
Is this on? Matt Berry. I live at 9996 Lilac Cove in St. John. I'm also the scoutmaster for these gentlemen sitting behind you. Want to extend my thanks to the board for allowing us to come here and spend a couple hours with you. We're working on our Citizenship and Community Merit Badge. One of the requirements for that merit badge is to attend a public meeting. So town hall, school board. We figured school board would be good. Our meetings are Monday nights, so we skipped that, came here, spent it with you. And it just so happens that it was good that we were here. Happy to lend a hand. But just a thanks to the board for that. And also just a point to make, I guess. I know you recognize a number of students this evening. We did have two of our seniors, Adam Long and Trevor Pulaski, both achieve Eagle Scout this year. Dr. Veracco, you kindly provided letters to both of them, so thank you for that. If there's an opportunity in the future, I'd like to let somebody know, maybe you, Mrs. Suze, if we've got others that have achieved that rank so they can also be recognized in front of the board.
Absolutely.
So again, thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jenna, I'm sorry, Ogrisovich.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jenna Ogrisovich. Last Monday, Joe Biden's White House declared the COVID pandemic officially over. I know everyone has moved on from COVID long before last Monday, but I came tonight to be sure that facts about this school board's decision to mandate masks are not forgotten. For this last election season, Nicole Kelly deleted my comment and question tonight from her Facebook campaign page. On the evening of August 2nd, 21, I stood in the back of this room listening to parents passionately tell you to fulfill your duty to represent them. Instead, during negotiation, you moved to recess and you all disappeared, leaving parents in attendance without the ability to observe what could be considered a closed meeting. In reading Kelly's explanation on why she mandated masks on her Facebook campaign page, it's reasonable to interpret the discussion in the recess likely involved Superintendent Veracco's knowledge the county would be turning orange that Friday, and everyone on the board agreeing that orange was the color on the health department matrix that would demand masks. It was predicted that parents would leave and the meeting could move on more quickly if they were convinced they had won. So the board decided to remove the issue from that night's vote and put it off until an emergency meeting, which happened to be Friday, August 6th. But on Tuesday night, parents didn't understand why the recess was called, and they anxiously waited for the board members to return. Discussion resumed only to be ended quickly by a surprising unanimous vote to remove the mask policy. Confused parents were told they got what they wanted. Anyone who wants to decide if deception took place that night can go to the recording and watch Malkow tell the room. That's what you're here for, aren't you? Yeah, it's done at the 1 hour and 32-minute mark. The truth is, no mask policy means no masks. That is the standard. Our children's faces are essential. The right to breathe air freely and share smiles freely is something that does not require a permission slip from the local school board. Even the Lake County Council agreed that fall, rejecting the health department's move for a countywide mask mandate in all schools. Everyone spent months telling you to stop the mask charade, but that didn't happen until shortly after Illinois courts ruled against mask mandates, because it was only then in February of 2022, like magic, with Lake County in orange, you ended the mandate. Can Lake Central parents get an answer as to why the orange metric in August was different from the orange metric in February? Are any of you willing to admit the decision-making matrix was arbitrary? Are any of you willing to admit the masks were ineffective? Are any of you willing to apologize for shutting down conversation and compromise for all those months? Or would you do it the same all over again? Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll move on to our board comments and consideration of future agenda items. Mr. Marshall.
Thank you. It was heartening to see all the young men and their adult leadership in uniform here this evening. We'd like to thank you for attending. These are future leaders in the years ahead of us, along with everyone else, and I'm sure you're undergoing great training. Thank you for coming out this evening.
Thank
That's
you.
all.
Mrs. Kelly.
No comments this evening.
Dr. Medlin.
No comments, thank you.
Dr. Malko.
Here we go. No, I just want to reiterate what Howard said. I think that is so true. The sponsors, you know, you volunteer all those hours, and I see you collecting or trying to sell candy bars places and doing collections. It's a lot of work, and it will pay off. So we thank you for your service to our community. And congratulations to our FCCLA and our Business Professionals of America. Both groups have representatives going to the nationals, which is cool. Nice. Congrats.
And I would just like to thank the Scouts and for coming out this evening, and Mr. Berry for your leadership with those Scouts and for assisting our injured parents. So it was a blessing in disguise that you guys were here tonight, so thank you. With that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Veracco for board calendar and future activities.
Okay, our next meeting is on May 1st, and depending on whether we have a large crowd, we'll be in here. When we have a small crowd, we are in the K-Trap room. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned.